So in the last class, so we did a lot on logical operations. We've done assignments, assigning values to a variable and the likes. So let's just proceed with loops and functions. So what are loops and functions? Okay, let me share my screen. So let me know if you can see my screen. So I believe you can see my screen. All right, awesome. So let me see. I believe my editor is clear enough for everybody to see, right? Okay. Okay. Yeah. So to start with here, so loops in JavaScript are used to reduce repetitive tasks by repeatedly executing a block of code as long as a specified condition is true. So this makes code more concise and efficient. So in the sense that it's more like I believe you guys know what we mean by block. When you say block of code, so this is a area or portion of the code that is covered with this thing. So any code inside this thing is called a block. This is a block. So let's say you declare let's say name equals to a full. So let's say name equals to a full. So this is a block of code. I believe that's clear. So this is a block. Normally we've always been doing like name equals to, let's say name equals to mega here. So now to get the concept of block is that, so now let's say we console.log now, console. So let's say we log this name. So what do you think we are going to get in the console? Anybody can write it in the comment section. What do you think we are going to get? Okay, mega, just one person. Mega. All right, awesome. Yeah. So the reason why let me run it so that we can see. So the reason why we are getting this mega is that, so this is like a global scope, right? This is the normal file. This is the global scope of this JavaScript module file, right? So now this is another block. So this variable is only known to this block. It can't be seen outside this block. So it cannot exist outside this block. I believe we get that. So now let's say we now move this console inside this block. So what do you think we are going to get? We are going to get this full. So because this is the nearest variable it can get. So this variable is known to this block. So definitely what is going to print is going to be this. So you can see what we mean. So this variable is only existing inside this block. So it's not existing outside. So it's only known within this block. I believe that is clear enough. So we have, let's say this is more like a global block, and this is more like an internal block. something like that. So because you will be needing that concept where we are dealing with functions. All right. So
I beg, can you go over this thing again? Like I didn't get it, please.
yeah, come again. Okay, what do you use PowerShell? Why did you use PowerShell instead of you can use any this thing? Can use anything. Okay. So moving forward, yeah. So moving forward, guys, I believe we'll get this concept now. So so for loops now, so we have okay, let me clear this. So when we say loops in JavaScript, we have I think about that's three main loop. Yeah. So we have three main loops. We have the for loop, the while loop, and the do while loop. So let me write that out so I can get it. So we have first one, we have the for loop. So the second one, we have the while loop. And the third one, we have the what we know as do while loop. I believe that is clear. So as long as so now we'll be taking the for loop. Let's take the for loop. So what do we mean by for loop? So for loop repeats a block of code, just like it's more like a definition of the loop I gave you guys in the first instance, right? So what it does is like, so let's write the syntax. So the syntax for that is we have this for. So you open this. So this is how we write for loop. So you declare the variable, let's say I. So 0, then let's say I less than 5. Then I plus plus. So let me explain this. So now for this, so what we just declare now is that so the loop runs from I equals to 1. I believe you guys are still here. I can. Are you guys still here with me? No confusion. You're still on the. Okay, you're still on track. Okay, awesome. Awesome. So now let's log something so that you can see how it works. So let's log something. Let's log let's say number I. So let's log this I and let's see what it does. So now to explain to you guys, so this is what this loop does is that no, we said loop is more like executing a block of code like in several times. So as far as a condition is true, so the code keep running. So the first condition now is that we said I equals to 0. So that means I is starting from 0. So that means I equals to 0. Okay, let's comment this. So I equals to 0. So now we now put a range. This is like a range value here. So a range condition here is that I less than 5. So that means, and so if I less than 5, So we increment I. So that means when I equals to 0, so you know I is still less than 5, right? So this code runs. That's the first time. So next one is I equals to 1. So that means we have, let me explain it better. So first instance is that I equals to 0. That's what is coming into this block, right? The first instance is that I equals to 0. So this block of code, it runs. So and it stop. So it start again. So far I is still less than 5. So it increments. So when I equals to 0, so it increments to what? I plus 1. So which is equals to what? 1. So now I plus 1, which is 1. 1 enter this block of code again. It starts, this code runs. So that's why we have this number equals to 1. So since it is still less than 5, so it increments again. So I equals to what? I equals to 2 in that case. So this console.log runs again, executes again. So that's why we have this. So since it is still less than 5 again, it increments again. So we have 3 again. So since it is still less than 5, it increments again. Then we have 4. So this is like a range from I equals to 0, I equals to 2, the code still executes, I equals to 3, code executes, and I equals to 4, the code executes. So this is how loop operates. So now let me get it, because we did some things on arithmetic, right? Last time we did some things on arithmetic. So I want to like test you guys brain now. So you know the condition we are setting here is that I less than 5. And you notice that this thing is stopping on 4. Why is that? Do anybody know the reason why? Why is it stopping on 4 and not 5?
Because we said I is less than 5.
Because I
Um,
is less
It should have
exactly.
printed 5 if it less than or equals to.
than or equal
Exactly.
to
So yeah, thank you,
5.
thank you.
You said
It's starting from 0. It starts counting
Yeah.
from 0.
Yeah, awesome guys, awesome guys. So now the main thing there is that you guys already understood, right? So because based on number system, if I'm sure most of us did number system, right? So when you say less than, when you add a range to something, when you say I less than 5, so this simply means that I is not 5 is not inclusive. So when you start, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's stopping on 4 because 5 is not inclusive. When you say something is less than, it's not, most scenario we use X, right? So X less than 5. So it means 1 is starting from 1, or let's say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So when we want to include 5, what do we do? So that means X is going to be equal to what? Less than or equal to 5. So in this case, we mean that we want 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, because we said equals to 5. So now let's try it here. So let's say I less than or equals to 5. So let's see what we're going to get. So you can see 5 is inclusive in this case. So that's the reason why we printed 5. So I believe that is clear.
Sorry, sir. Please,
All
can
right.
you come again? I didn't understand that part. Yeah.
All right, I will take that once again. So now the main, all right. So now to take it again. So now first, so this is how we write a for loop. So now this is how we write a for loop, right? So for loop is written like this. So the first thing we set there is the initial value. So where we are starting from, which is we are starting from 0. So now the second one we declare is the range. Where do we want to stop and what's the condition? So this is like a condition. You know, we did if statements yesterday, right? So this is the condition set. So if this condition is still met, this code, this block, we always execute as long as this condition is true. So now what is now what is the condition? So the condition is that I equals to 0 right? So that's the initial value set for I. So now the condition which is I less than or equals to 5 means that anytime I is still less than or equals to 5, this block of code always executes in the, so that is why we draw out this thing here. So when it is less than 5, the block of code always executes, in the sense that, this is the initial value. When I equals to 0, so this thing runs. So this counter is incrementing. So it increments it again to move to yeah. Mary Jane.
Okay, good evening, sir.
Yeah, evening.
My question is, I understand the logic, but my question is, in this console log now, this number, is it constant? Could it be anything? And why are we having two, I think they are called parameters, like we have a number, we have the I. Why is this so?
Okay, so
Couldn't it
this
have
is
just been console log I? Yes.
yeah, so this is a more standard way. This is more like a generic way of writing a for loop statement. So this is a statement in JavaScript. So this is for loop statement. So this is the standard way of writing it. So you declare the first one is the initial value. So where you are starting from, the initial value of your variable, which is I, and that is 0. So the second thing that follows is the range or the conditions loop to execute. So this is the condition here. And the third one is an incremental. So this always increment the value. So if this thing is not met, if this condition is not met, so this take in charge of the operation. So what this does is that, so when I equals to 0, so the condition is not met. I is like less than or equals to 5, right? The condition is not met yet. So this works. It increments the value of I. So that's why we have 1 here. So 1 enter the block again, right? So the condition is not still met. So as it is entering the block, right? It is executing the code in the block. I believe you get it. It's just like 0 enter from here, right? It enter here. So when 0 comes inside here, 0 enters this block. So this code runs. The condition is not met. So this increments 0 when it reach here, right? So when it reach the end of this block, the value of 0 is no more, the value of 0 is still 0, right? So when it is coming back into the block, because the condition is not met, so this already increment the value of 0. So that is +1. So this I plus plus, okay, let me just, to clear you guys that might not understand, you can also write something like this. So this is +1, or we do something like this. Yeah, this should also work. Yeah. So you can do something like this, but in most cases, so just this is incremental. So when you say I plus plus, it's more like +1, always add 1 to it. So now when it's reached here, so it increments it because this condition is not met yet, right? So now, because the condition is not yet true, so it runs the code again. So now once entering this place again, so 1 comes in because it's already 0 plus 1 here, right? So 1 comes in. So 1 perform the operation. This thing is, we log number 1 here, right? So when it reach here, so it is 1 here. So what do we have? This take charge again. So which is +1 again. So what do we have here? 2. So 2 comes inside again from here. So 2 is coming in. So this thing runs again. So that's why we have number 2 here. So when this operates again, so 2 comes here, right? So 2 is leaving already, and the condition is not yet true, right? So we have what? +1 again. +1 again. This takes charge again. So what do we have? 3. So 3 again comes in and operates. So the condition is not still met. So this code operates, right? So we have number 3. We log 3, right? So the condition is not still met. So this take charge again. So we have, what do we have in that case? So we have 3 plus 1. So that's 4. So that means 4 is coming in again, right? So the condition is not still met. We mean the condition here is what? Less than or equals to 5. So anytime
Can
that
they
condition,
still
yeah,
can they still add 5 or more numbers in that condition?
I don't get you. So the condition we
I said,
set for
can they still add more numbers? Or is if you reach that 4, then it's okay?
where you just let me explain it better. I think you're getting it wrong. So the main thing is that what is this condition, which is I less than or equals to 5. So this actually explains that I is less than. So this curtails that I is less than and equal to 5. So this simply means that any number that is like coming from below till 5, that's what that statement is. Just like let's say is an expression, right? So now how do you explain it? So it means that it's coming from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it states that the condition states that less than or equals to. So 5 is inclusive in that case. So that is why we have this. So now let's say probably for you to understand better, let's use another example. I believe everybody get this concept here. So now for you to understand better, so let's use another number. So let's say it is 7 now. What do you think we are going to have in the log? Anybody, just write it in the comment section. What do you think we are going to have in the log? Any quick finger there? All right. So let's try to run the.
Okay, I want to see less than
No.
or equal to 7.
All right, awesome. It can't be 1. Don't forget our. Please mute yourself, please. So don't forget our initial condition here is that I equals to 0. So any is starting from 0. Don't forget that. So it is starting from 0. So from 0, let's run it and let's see. So you can see. So from 0 to 7. So the code runs 7 times. So it runs from 0 to 7. So I believe that is clear for loop. So you get the concept of loop very well now. All right, awesome.
Sorry, if it's I less than equals to 8, will the code still run to 8 from 0 to 8?
Of course, now this is just a condition you yourself are setting for yourself. You are the one setting the condition. You can set any condition here. So far, as much as this condition is met, you can set any numerical condition here. So as far as it is not met, so this code continues to execute. So that let's say to 8. So let's save this. So it's still the same thing. So you can see 0 to 8. So if you say 100, it's still the same thing. That's 0 to 100. So that's how it works. So you can see. So that's how it works. So just understand the concept. You just need to like grasp the concept of these parameters here. So the first parameter is to set the initial value of your variable. The second one is the condition, and the third one is the iterator. We can call it iterator or incrementer. So we can call it iterator or incrementer. So I believe we are clear on that. All right. All right, let's proceed. So I believe that is clear on for loop.
Sorry, please, can another letter be used? Must it be I?
Yes, so of course. Sorry, okay. Because most programmers use I's, I guess. They are accustomed to I. So we can use another letter. We can use anything. For variables, I believe You guys get the concept of variable. We already explained. Variable, you can name your variable anything. Anything that is not the keywords in in JavaScript. You know, we have some set of keywords that you cannot use as a variable name, right? So don't use those keywords like for. You cannot name a variable for. You encounter an error. You can see you encounter an error because JavaScript no for as is like a language in JavaScript. It's just like Yoruba language when you are English. When you use some certain words, you know that this language, this word is attributed to English language, right? So don't use this kind of word for naming of a variable. So those are the keywords. So you can use anything. Let's use a different name. Okay, what's the moment? Can I even name it anything? Number. Let's say none.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah.
Please, can you like follow it up with instances where we actually use it?
Yeah, can I follow instances where we what?
Can you give us instances of where we actually use the for loop?
Okay, instances in what way? So firstly is that you can see when we run this, so it's still the same thing. You can name it anything, you can name it any name. So just make sure. So in most cases, just always name your variables in names that are like attributed, names attributed to that thing you are using them for. So let's say you want to like save a variable for name of a user, and you are now saying count equals to my count equals to a 4 or something. So now in this case now, does this even make sense? For you to like come back to your code, you'll still be wondering, what is this? Count equals a 4. What's wrong with this thing? It might even get you confused. So in this scenario, just use a name that is attributed to the value you are storing. So that's clear. So let's say you want to store like a count, so you can know that a count is definitely a number and say 10. So this is very clear. So when you are naming your variables, so be careful and be wise. So now I think the person asking, like, I really don't get it though. So
I think he's asking,
can
like,
you ask your
if we are to create, let's assume we are building something, how you can use the for loop.
exactly, that's the explanation I just gave, right? That was the initial explanation I gave you. No, this thing is just like you're starting from learning ABCD. You know, when you're now building words like cat, CAT is cat, right? It's still from the genesis of ABC, right? So that's just the thing. Just understand the concept and the usage. So what's the usage of this? Is like repetitive action. So it's executing the code several times, right? It's executing the code several times. Okay, let's say a use case. I really don't want to go to use case so that I won't like complicate things for you guys. So that's the reason why. So let's just understand the concept of this loop. We understand this is the syntax for loop, and this is how it operates. So let's stick with that for now. You know, we also have other types of loops too, so that we can cover those things in our this thing. So let's stick with that. So I'm sure when we start building some certain programs, so we understand, oh, this is where we are using this thing. Oh, this is the usefulness of this. Oh, nice. Yeah. So let's move forward. So we've understand the concept of for loop. So yeah. So moving forward. So I said we have while loop, right? Yeah. So while loop. Let's take while loop. So what the first thing, you guys don't get confused with this different type of loops. The first thing that should be on your mind is that what does loop does? That's the main thing. What's the action? What's the purpose of using loop? Is to like execute a block of code several times, like in a certain numbers of ways, you get. So it's to re-execute this code several times. So the same thing is what while loop is doing the same thing. So don't get confused. So it's just like the syntax and it's just the syntax that is different. So they are still performing the similar actions. So for while loop, so while loop executes as long as the condition is true, just like we did for for loop. For loop you just set everything, right? So for while loop, this is how it works. So I believe even with while loop, you should get the concept more clearly. So now let's do something on while loop. All right, so for while loop, this is it. So firstly, you declare a variable, let's say m equals to 1. So now this is how we write our while statements. While m less than 5. So run this block of code. While m less than 5. So let's log. So let's log the number. So let's log the number m. All right, so let's clear the terminal. Oh, sorry. Let's comment out this for loop so that we won't have. So now I believe you guys get the syntax. So we initially just set our initial value. M is a variable, external variable, right? M equals to 1. So the condition now is that m less than 5, run this code. And after running this code, increment m. So we can say m equals to m plus 1. Or let's just use, you can use our plus plus also in this case. So what this does, okay, let's run it so that you can explain with that. So we can see the output here. So now what this does is that, the first thing is that we have a variable now, which is m. So now this is a condition for this while loop here now. What is our condition? Anytime m is less than 5, always run this thing and increment m. So now, just like we explained, so initial value of m is what? That is entering this block is that this is the condition. M is less than 5. So anytime m is less than 5, m enter this place as what? The initial value of m that enters this place is what? 1. Right? So this block of code runs. And when it is leaving, we are setting here is that what? Increment m. Because if you didn't set this value, let's see what's going to happen. You are not using that value. So let's see. So what do you see? You get an infinite loop because m will always be less than 5. I believe you guys get this thing. So m is 1 here, right? So when you now enter this block, you reach this state here. So the condition is that m is less than 5. So because definitely m is less than 5, that's the value of m, right? M is less than 5. So the reason why we are incrementing is that we want to increment the value of m. So when we are incrementing the value of m, so the first time m enters here as 1, so it gets here, we increment the value. So and it is leaving as what? As 2, which is 1 plus 1. So it's leaving as 2. So because this condition is still met again, m is still less than 5, right? So this takes place again. So m enters as 2. So now it comes here, is leaving as what? As 3. Because of this function, this expression here, m plus plus. So we are incrementing it. So it is leaving as 3. So because this condition is met again, so it enters as what? As 3. So this code runs again, and we increment it again. So it's leaving as what? It's leaving as 4. So because this condition, so until this condition is no more true, this block of code continues to run. So m is less than 5. So until this condition is no more true, this code continues to run. So this is leaving as 4. So when it enters as 4, right? So this code runs again. So what is it leaving as now? So it's leaving as 5.
5.
So now, when it is coming again, can it enter again? It can't enter again. The
No.
reason being that m is now equals to 5, and we didn't set that condition. So it has moved away from the scope of this condition. So it's not meeting this condition again. So this block of code stop running. So it does not even enter as at all. So 5 is not entering this thing at all. So this code will not run at all. So let's say we try to set the value of m to 5, and let's see if it's going to run at all. It won't run because the condition is not true. When we set it to 5, so when this code, when it comes in, so it check m less than 5. Is this condition true? When we say 5 less than 5, is 5 less than 5? So this is false. So if it is coming, so if this condition is false, so definitely this block is not running. It's just like your if statement that we did the last time. I'm sure you guys still remember that. So if it is false, definitely it is not running. So now let's run it so that to confirm. So you can see it didn't run it didn't execute anything because this condition is not true. It's only when this condition is true, that's when it's going to run. Let's say m equals to 3. So m is entering as 3 initially. So it's only when it is true. So that's when this code, this block of code executes. Are we clear on that?
Yes,
All right.
sir. Please, I'm clear, but what's now the major difference between for loop and while loop? Because both of them seem similar. They look similar.
Exactly. Yeah, they are performing the same action. You know what's now the major difference is that you can see what's happening here. This block here. So you can see this one. You know, for loop, we set everything inside this thing. So for loop is not like you set the variable outside or anything. You set everything on that statement. So this is how for loop works. You can see. This is your initial variable, which is num. So you set the initial value, you set the condition, and you set the iterator or the incremental on it immediately. So no need for you to be setting num plus plus again. You don't need that again here. So this is already doing that. So you can see the difference. So for this one, but you need to like set it separately. So this is, let's say this is more like explicit way of using
Like
your
a
loop.
global
No, this is,
variable.
yeah. So this is explicit in the way that you set everything separately. They are not the same. So this is the initial value, this is the condition, and this is the incremental. This is the incremental. So you set everything separately, but for this, you set everything at once. The condition, the initial value, and the incremental. So just use the one that is best for you. Like in most cases, we use this self, but in some certain situations, it's best you use while. In some certain situations, it's best you use while. So it depends on what you're working with. So I believe we all get this. Okay, let's take do while loop before we take like an example together and work on it together. So the while and the for loop is clear now. All right. So let's move to do while loop. Let's comment this out. So do while loop. So what you need to know about do while loop is that, so do while loop is similar to the while loop, except that it executes the code block at least once before checking the condition. So this is how we write the do while loop. I believe you guys can still see my screen. All right, awesome. Okay, so this is how so just like the same method for while loop. So we say, let's name this count. Let's use another variable, or let's use a number. Let's say n equals to 1. So now this is what is happening. So now we are saying do, what are we doing? Console.log number. What are we logging? N. So we also increment n here. So you can say n plus equals 1. So now this block of code is not complete. Always, this is where you set your condition. So this is the while condition. So while n less than 5. So this is a statement. So if you are writing only do, you encounter syntax error because do is not recognized as a block on its own unless you put the while. Okay, let's try to run it so that you can see what I mean. You encounter a syntax error. Do is not recognized. Can see. So do is not recognized unless, so this block of code is only a statement when you join do and the while together. So this is the condition and this is the action. Sorry. So this is the condition and this is the action. I believe that's clear. So this is the condition and this is the action. So now let's run it so that we can see how it works. So let's run it. You can see it's still working the same way. So now this is how it works. So n is what? 1, right? So now we are now saying n is 1. We don't even know the condition yet initially from here. So we are just performing an action. So do is performing an action once this condition is met here. So do is already performing its action. It will now later check, oh, is this condition met before I finish up with this process I'm executing. So do, the first is more like, okay, let's say two people are standing in front oppositely, right? They are standing adjacent to each other. So now let's say you add something about user B. You are user A, you add something about user B. So maybe you add a rumor that user B cursed at you at one event or wherever. So you add that. So now you as user B, you just confronted user A and you throw the punch. So you throw the punch and later you just add something. Oh, he didn't say anything. And you almost hit the user B and you just hold on his.
Nothing is up again. No. It don't happen with that.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? Sorry, my network went AWOL. So can you guys hear me? All right, okay, all right. All right, so I believe we already grasped the concept of do while. So with that, so we've come to the session of loop.
Sorry, you can't see your screen again.
Oh, okay, let me share my screen again. Sorry about that. So I believe we are all on the same page, right? So I don't want anybody having doubts. We are all clear on loops in general. So we have three main type of loop. We have while loop and the do while loop. Okay, so
Sorry, sir. Sorry, sir.
Sorry.
You not mention for each loop. How to use it?
hello, can you guys hear me?
Hello.
Yeah, you're audible. I can hear you. I don't know
Yeah,
about the rest.
you're audible, you can continue.
All right, so
You can hear
who
you.
was the question again? Can you ask again? Who was the question?
Sir,
Orense,
can you
sir.
list can you list
Okay,
the list?
Ernest.
I was asking,
What?
yeah. I was asking Orense. I was asking about for each loop. Like how to use
For
it.
each loop. Yeah, in most those ones are different. These are the main type of loops we have. We have for each loop when you are dealing with arrays. Have you guys done arrays? You've not done that, I'm sure. So are you when we are dealing with object too, there are still some, it's still the same thing. If you understand this one,
Sorry, sir. We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you.
You know the class.
can you guys still hear me? Sorry about that. I don't know what's wrong with my network.
We can't hear you like for the past 5
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, my
Hear you
network.
now.
Yeah, sorry about that. My network went off. All right. So as I was saying concerning the for the for each loop, I believe you understand. So it's like a method. It's not really like a loop, a standalone loop, like on its own. It's like a method used on an array. Is that clear? I'm sure we are going to get there. So it's not like it's not a standalone loop, but it works like a loop. So we can say it works like a loop, but it's not really a loop. Is that clear? For Ernest, I think it was Ernest that asked that question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear, sir.
All
Thank
right,
you, sir.
awesome. So so let's quickly do like a class exercise on loop. Let's do it together. Just a moment. Let me get the exercise. So yeah, I believe you guys can see my screen.
Yes, you can see your screen.
All right. So now, okay, let's start from small one. So let's do this together. So we want to do what? We want to like print from from 3 to 10. So walk me through, guys. Just write in the comment section so that we won't like be disorderly like that. So let's engage in the comment section.
So which loop are we using?
Yeah, I cannot hear this thing. I cannot hear anything.
So your screen is frozen and your voice, you can't hear your voice. I don't know. Your network is
He gave an exercise already. Look at it. Print from 3 to 10. So that is the correct exercise. So no one is speaking. Do that and drop your answer at the comment section. You can't see the screen. It's not here anymore at the moment.
Please, which loop are we supposed to use?
Guys, can you hear me now? Hello, can you guys hear me? Okay, okay.
We can hear you.
All right, awesome. Sorry about my network. I don't know. Sorry about that. Let me share my screen again. Okay, you guys are already sent this thing. Okay. All right, let's do it together, guys. So now to print from 3 to 10. So what loop do you think? Okay, let's use all the loops. Let's use everything. So let's start from for loop, right? So the first condition is what? So we declare and initialize the variable. Let's say I equals, or let's use another thing. Let's use y equals to, so we said print from 3 to 10. So initial value is what? 3. Then the condition to 10. So to 10 means what? 10 is included. Yeah, let's say 10 is included. So it means y less than or equals to 10. Then we increment. Then your block.
Sorry, but why are you not using Y?
No, now, why are you asking me this question now? This is a variable. You can use anything. I believe everybody is aware of that. You can use anything for it.
I was thinking maybe it's just the I.
No. You can use your name. You can use anything. You can even use count. You can even use count. Okay, let's use count for this operation then. So now we want to print 3 to 10. So let's log. We log. What are we logging? We are logging count, right? So let's save this and run it. So what do we have? We have from 3 to 10. So that's for for loop. So now let's do the same for while loop. While loop. So while loop, how do we do the while loop? We say let count equals to, let's say, okay, 3 initial value, don't forget that. And we say the while count less than or equals to 10, then the block, then the code, which is log count. And don't forget your incremental count plus plus. So let's separate this thing. Let's log while loop so that we can differentiate it. Then for this one is for loop. So now if we run it, it's still the same thing. It's going to give. It's still the same thing. So now let's run it. So I believe you can see my terminal. You can see for loop, we have 3 to 10, and for while loop, still the same thing. So let's do for the last one, which is do while loop. So for do while loop, so we can still use this count for it. We don't need to declare another one. We can still use this count. So what are we doing? What are we doing? We are logging. So do perform an action, log count. And what happens next? Increment the count. And don't forget, this cannot stand alone. We set the condition while count less than or equals to 10. So let's so this is do while. So now let's run it. Let's play our terminal and let's run. So you can see for our for loop, we have 3 to 10. For our while loop, we have 3 to 10. Oh, sorry. For the do while loop, who can tell me the reason why we are getting the
You do not initialize.
Initialization.
Initialization? VD? No, we have already initialized it. We are using this one. So why do you think we are getting this? Or why? Anybody from the experience you gathered from day one? I need a valid explanation.
Because the last one we did stopped at 10, then it now incremented it to 11.
Awesome, thank you. You know, this is like a global variable. So now an action has been taken on this variable here. So the data saved here and this variable is still right. An action took place. We use the variable in a program. So this is like a program. So what's the last thing that happens when we execute this program? Count becomes 10 when it was leaving last, you know. When this program ended, so count equals to 10. So now that is where this one is now taken off from, right? So count is already 10. So when it entered this place, so this condition is already met. So that's the reason why you only have 11. And normally, if we have, let's say we use while loop for this thing, and we are not using do while, do you think we are going to get any value? Normally, you should not get any value because while it's checking this condition, because it's already 10 here, right? So when we now check count less than or equals to 10, do you want to perform this operation? Let's run it and see. So what happens here? So this one does not print anything. You know, I was explaining the reason, the difference between do while and the while loop, right? Initially. So what I was explaining was that do while, it has taken the step to take that action. So after the action has already been taken once, it now check the condition. Whoa, does this person deserve a punch that I want to punch this person? So that's what that means. So when you want to punch a person, you already throw the punch. So it's already landing on this person's cheek. So now you are now checking the condition. Oh, does this person deserve the punch? So you are already taking the action. You've taken the action already initially. So you check the condition. So that's what happened with this one. So that was the reason why we got the 11. Okay, let me save. So that was the reason why you got the 11. So you can see. So action is already taken for do while. So in most situations, be careful when you are using do while, because it's more like you've already moved, taken a step before you now like come into your senses. You know, you've taken the leap before you thinking. It's more like leaping before thinking. You know, they said think before leap. So you have to think before leaping. But this one is what? Leaping before thinking. So that's just the concept of do while. So now to solve our issue, you know, let's use another variable. We can't use a global variable because while and do while they use like an external variable. So let's declare something else. Let's say num for this. So we are printing num, and we are iterating num, and we are conditioning num. So now we should get a perfect answer, a perfect output, the same with the for loop and the while loop. Oh, sorry. Oh, num equals to 1. Num equals to 3. Let's not forget. So now, so I believe this is clear. So it's starting from here, for loop, while loop. So it's the same output. Are we clear on that, guys? All right. Okay, yeah, awesome. So should we take another exercise together? Should we take another exercise together? Answer me in the comment section, please. So let's know before we move to function. We know we still need to take function today. Time is already running by. Okay, let's just move to function, please. Let's move to function. We'll take another exercise as assignments. Let's move to function. We have like about 39 minutes or about 38 or 39 minutes more. All right, let's move to function. Okay. Let me know if you can still see my screen. All right. Can you guys still see my screen? Oh, okay. Please, after the class, someone should. Okay. Can you guys still see my screen? Okay, all right. Let's continue. So let's continue with function. Okay, let's declare another one. We name this loop.js. Let's create a new file, functions. Functions.js. All right. So what is a function? So functions in JavaScript. So function in JavaScript are reusable block of code. So to perform a specific task. So are reusable block of code to perform a specific task. So now, how does it work? Let's go through that together. Just a moment. All right. So it's a reusable block of code. So now this is how we write function in JavaScript. So we have this function. So the name, so this is like a keyword, don't forget. So always take note of those keywords. So always take note of them. You should know them. You should know them. So this is a keyword function. So what comes next is like a name. Let's create a function for greeting. Greet. So a greet function, this is the name of the function. It's like a variable name. You know, we've been naming variable when we say let name equals to something like this, right? So this is the name. of the function in this case. So name of the function, then we have this, then the block. So this is how we declare a function in JavaScript. So now, a function takes an argument in JavaScript. So it takes input, perform action, and return output. So that's how it works. So a function takes input, it performs an action, and also output a result. So this is what it does. So you can give it something to work on. It's just like a machine. Yeah, okay, let's say it's like a machine, right? So you know that there are some machines that you give it something, so it processes it and it gives out something. And there are some machines that you just give it to it and it processes. You don't need the output. So that is what a function does. So now let's create this function greet. So what do we want to do? We want to give it an input. We don't call it input, we call it argument. So this is argument name. So we are passing this argument name. So now this is inside the function now. We want to perform an operation on this input. So how do we perform the operation? We want to log it. Console.log. What are we logging? This input that is given to this function. We are performing an operation on it now. So this is what we are doing. So we're performing an operation, which is this. So now we have declared this function now. This is declaration of the function. So we are declaring a function here. So now let's call the function. Because normally in JavaScript, if we run this code now, nothing is going to happen. Because it's just like when you declare something like this, when you say name equals to a4. So what happens when you run your code? You know, nothing still happen, right? So that is what that was. Oh, sorry. So our new file is just a moment. So let's run this code. So we are running functions.js. Don't forget that. So sometimes when you encounter those errors, be careful. Go through the process again and check where you went wrong. I was running loops before, so I want to run functions.js. So I call it functions.js. So what happens? Nothing, right? So because I only just declare a variable here, and we are not doing anything to the log, right? We are not logging anything. So now that is how this works. So now what do we want to do? We want to call this function. How do we call a function? We call this function by saying greet. This is how we call a function. But this function has an argument. So we need to pass a name to it, right? Or initially, let's just say this is just a neutral function then. It's just logging a4. Okay, let's start with that. So now, this is a function, right? No argument. So we are calling a function like this. So what this does is that it prints a4 to the console. So now let's run it again and you'll see. Oh, let's save, sorry. And let's run again. So you see, so now this function now is what? Is performing a task. So that's the main purpose of a function, performing a task. So let's say I want to print this to console twice. I can run this function twice and I can call it twice, I mean. So I call it twice. So you can see. So it's more like a reusable block of code. This is, you know, I use it here and reuse it again here. So now let's put the case of the argument now. So now let's pass the argument to it. So we are logging name. So now we have to pass the argument. If you are not passing arguments and you are logging it, you encounter an error. So for you to know, you can see. So you are logging nothing. So because you are not passing anything to it, and this is seen as undefined. I believe that's clear. So when we want to pass the argument, it says, I'm a function, I'm ready to run. So passing something for me to operate on. So we want to pass name to this place. So let's say we pass a name mega. Let's use that first call again. So what this does is that, so this mega will be given to this. So in this case, when you are calling greet, right? So it's passing like this, greet. You know, the variable on greet, the argument is what? Name. So immediately you pass greet mega, it says name equals to what? To mega immediately before that function runs. And when that function runs, so and throughout the lifespan of this function, it sets this variable name as mega. So now let's run this so that we can see.
Please, can you go back? Your network is not really stable.
Oh, sorry about that. Where should I go back to?
In that
So
name.
initially we started from declare. All right. So this is, we declare the function here, right? So this function is expecting an argument, an input from us. So anytime you want to call this function, always give it something to work on. So what we are giving it here is that we are calling the function here. So we call the function here and give it an input. The input we are giving it is what? A name. So this is the name, mega. So when this function runs, it log the input we gave it. Is that clear enough? So let's say, you know, we said function is a reusable block of code. So we can call this function again to perform another operation for us. So we are reusing it. Let's say this time around, we are saying is John. So what we are going to see is that this will run. So it will enter this function. So it will operate. It will operate on the input and perform the operation. So this is the first operation and this is the second operation. So what we are going to do, let's run the code so that you can see. So what do we have? So it's perform operation on the name mega. So it log it. So we have mega here, and it perform operation on the name John. So it logs it. So is that clear?
Okay.
Yeah, it's clear.
What if we add another greet with another name?
What? Come again.
So what if we add another greet with another name?
All right, I get you. So for function, you can add much argument or input that you need. Just like what can we say? I'm looking for a, just envision a machine, right? You know, there's
sorry, your network is breaking.
What can I use as a, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, now. So envision this as a machine, right? So the input we are setting for this thing is just one. So let's say we need two names. We can set name 1 and name 2. So now let's say we need to perform something on the name 1 and name 2. So now let's say we want to perform an operation on these two inputs, right? So we can say constant, let's say constant. We can use let or anything, but constant is like, no, it's not changing throughout the usage. So constant, so we want to say full name. So let's name this first name so that we can get it better. F name and last name, right? So we are now saying constant full name. So we want to like merge these names together, F name and last name, and print it out as full name, right? So how do we merge name together? You know, this is a string, one string. I believe you guys have done string, right? So one string and another string. So how do we join two strings together? So for joining
You
two
add
strings
them.
together, exactly, we concatenate them. We concatenate. When you are using
Concatenation.
plus, exactly. So when you are using plus for strings, normally plus is an arithmetic operator, right? Is addition, right? We know that. So it's used for adding two numbers together. But when you are using it in the case of string, it's called concatenation. It's like merging them together. So L name. So it's like merging them together. So it's not like adding anything, right? It's concatenating them together, merging. So now, what are we printing to console? Full name. So now in this case, when we are calling greet, who are we greeting? We pass the first name. So we can say we are greeting, this is the first name, John, and the last name, let's say Doe. Or let's say Mega, John Mega or something. So now, when this runs, so it sees F name as John and the last name as Mega. So let's run this code. So you can see what we have, John Mega. Let's give it a space, It's too it's merged them together. Let's give it some breathing space. So let's say we put a space here. So we concatenate F name with a space and concatenate it with L name. So now let's run it again. And you can see we have John Mega. So we can use this function again to perform another operation on this, let's say, so it can perform another operation on this. So when we run this, so this is the first operation, it performs this, and it also we use it again for this. So it's just for one function. So we are now reusing it for different things. I believe you get the logic of the function, a reusable block of code. So we use it for this, use it to perform this operation, and we also use it again to perform this operation. So that's why we have this. Are we clear on function? Is that clear enough? No
Please, I
problem.
have a
Is it
question.
my next? All right.
Also, my
Yeah,
question
who have a
is this: in
question?
that you wrote const full name then equals to F name plus. Why is there those two quotation mark there before the I name?
This quotation mark is a space now. I told you, it's a space. It's giving the space between this. Initially when we printed this, we got this together, John and Mega
Yeah.
together. So we gave it
Yeah.
a space. Exactly, we gave it a space. So it's just a space. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
So let me, for another option, right? So if you are not using concatenation, in JavaScript, there's another way of merging strings together. There's another way of merging strings together, but you use backtick. So you use this sign and you use this dollar sign. So the first, sorry. So the first value is what? F name. So now for joining this, it's just like you are creating a string, right? This is a string. So now you want to use this variable. If you are using a variable in a string, so you use this dollar sign. This is the signature, this dollar sign, and you put this space here, and you do this again for L name. So you use this L name. So let's run it. So you can see it's still performing the same thing. So this is more like a standard way you can do it instead of concatenating. Let's say you have like 4 names you want to join together. You cannot be doing plus and putting the space again like that. So this is like a better way. You can also do that. Is that clear?
Yeah, it's clear. This one is more sharp.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry,
It's
but
motion.
okay.
All right. So
So I have a question. Is it necessary to put that arguments in the can you not just put an empty function? Like, is it necessary?
Yeah, of course. I think the first thing we did was an empty function now. Let's say we just need a function. Okay, let's say we just want to create a function now. Function greeting. So what is this function doing? It's just greeting you good morning. Console.log. So let's say it's just greeting you good, let's say evening. So what this function is doing is that it's only greeting. So it does not need any input and it's not outputting anything. So there are there are a lot of varieties of functions. There are some functions that will take in input, perform an operation, and not give out output. It's just taking in input and performing an operation. And there are some that will take in input and give you output. And there are some that will not take in anything and just give output. So now this is how it works. This one is not taking anything. It's just doing one thing. What's this function doing? Just one thing, and which is greeting you. So now let's call this function greeting. So we call it, so what it does is just one thing, greet you, good evening. So that's the work of this function. So you can see it's not taking in anything, right? And it's not giving out anything. Are we clear on that? And let's take another instance of a function that takes in something and also give out something. Let's use that. So let's say function sum. Function sum. So what sum does is that, it needs input, right? You are taking two values and adding them together. So let's take function sum, let's say num1 and num2. So what do you do? So let's say let result equals to the addition of those two numbers, num1 plus num2. So now we can make this function not give out anything, just like, perform the operation and that's it. Only perform the operation. So let's say we just want to log the value. We want to give it input and just perform the operation. So let's say we gave it input and just perform the operation and let's see what we are going to get. So let's comment these ones out. So now, if I run this code, what am I going to get? There's not, okay, let me comment everything out. It's only this we are dealing with now. So if I run this code, what do you think I'm going to get? Comment section, please.
You get
what am I going to get?
Nothing.
Huh?
Num1, num2.
What am
I
I
don't think
getting?
you get anything because you're not passing any.
You haven't called the function. You cannot get anything, sir.
Why am I not getting anything?
You not assign any value to the variable.
Not really.
Not call the function.
Because
Inside the
you not
console log.
All right,
Inside the
get you
console
guys.
log with no
So I think you guys
You haven't called the function.
Exactly. When we say this is only declaring a function, this is declaration of function. We are only declaring the function. Have we called it? No. We only declare
have not
it.
called the
We are not
function.
using it. Exactly. So that's the reason why you are not going to get anything. So we need to call the function. We need to call the function and use it. If you are not using it, it's just there. So you need to use it. So now how do we use it? We call the function sum. What are we summing together? 2 and 2. So we want the sum of 2 and 2. So now we have called the function. Let's run it. So we are going to get 4. So what this function is doing is what? It's performing an addition, right? It's adding two numbers together and printing it. Is that clear?
Yes.
All
right, awesome. So now let's say in situation whereby you want, you're performing this addition and you want to now return the result. You don't want to log it here. You want to return the result. We have this keyword return. Return what? What are we returning? Result. So we are returning result. So when we call this thing, we are only returning. So it's not logging anything. If we run it, you can see we are not logging anything, but it is returning. This function is returning something. So now how do we do it? This is how we do it. These are functions that you use.
Sapidis, you're breaking.
So how do we use this kind of function? Let's say
I'm not seeing your screen anymore. I'm not seeing your screen.
Can you guys?
No, because
Can you guys hear me?
yeah.
No, sir. No, sir.
Hello?
Please, can anyone hear anything?
I guess he stopped talking or something.
If you guys
Yeah,
can
the
hear
network
me,
is
send
bad.
the reaction. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can
Yeah, we
hear
can
you.
hear you now.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Let me change my network. Hello guys. I have to change my network. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome back, sir.
All right, awesome. So sorry about that. So let's continue from there. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All right, let's
Yeah.
proceed. All right, very good. Let's proceed from there. So now to use this kind of function, right, you know, we are only returning the value, isn't it? So now to use it, so let's say let value equals to sum. So what are we summing? So value equals to what? Sum, or let's say number. So we want to like declare a variable. So now let's say this variable is what? We want to give it a value of 4. So instead of saying floor, you know, you can just say this variable is what? Is equals to 4. You have assigned value of 4 to this variable. So instead of doing that, you can use this function to perform an operation, right? So you can say sum 2 and 2. So we already know that the addition of 2 and 2 is equals to 4. So we still perform the need. It still performs our need, right? So now what this does is that we are calling this function, and already we know that this function is returning a value, right? So when we call this, so it returns the sum of 2 and 2, which is 4. So that result equals to, we are assigning that result to variable number. So now we can now later print, we can now later print to console by saying number. So we are printing the number to console. Let's run this. So you can see what we have here. So this function, the sole purpose of this function is what? To perform an operation and return the results. So the result is returning here, and we are now assigning it to a variable, which is not variable number, and we are now logging the value. I believe we are clear on that.
Okay, sorry, I want to ask a question. The sum, is it because of the sum that the two are adding up?
No, now this sum is a variable name. We can name this function add. Let's say the name of this function is add. So definitely, if you are using it, we are saying we are calling this function, which is add. This is a name, right? So it's still performing the same thing. You can even name it anything. You can name it anything. You know, when you are programming, right? Always name your variables or anything you are naming, right? Name it something relatable to what you are performing. The action you are performing, always name your variables, your function. Let it be relating to what you are doing. So that's it. When we name something like this name. So next time you are even coming to your code, it doesn't even add up, right? So the name is not even like, it's not adding up, but it will still perform the function. To still perform what we need. So you can see. So this is just a bare name, but always name based on what you are doing. So name based on the operation. So is that clear for that person?
Okay, yes.
All right, awesome. So now let's take an exercise and work on it together. You guys will work on it first. So what you are going to do is that create a function that logs the result of the subtraction of two numbers. So create a function that logs the result of the subtraction of two numbers. So I want to see if you guys understand this thing very well. Read the question very well. Create a function that logs, is that function that is logging? Create a function that logs the result of the subtraction of two numbers. So please do that and send it. Can send it on the group.
I have a question.
Okay, what's your question?
So please, is there any shortcut to like comment a long line of code? Just like to highlight and comment it fast. Is there any shortcut to that?
Okay, when you highlight this thing, just highlight, right? Then you click on Control and the backslash. Is this person that always asks for shortcut? Is that Mary or who is that?
No. Happiness.
Oh, Happiness. You were the one that asked for shortcut the first time too. Okay, that's good though. Although those shortcuts make you work faster when you are dealing with large programs now. All right. So you guys, you should be done by now. This is a very simple exercise. You should be done by now. You can send in the shot to the group, or no, just send the output here in the comment section. Let me have a look. Then we do it together. Name the function in something that is relatable to the operation you are performing. So this is a subtraction. You can name it subtract or minus, something like that. Don't name it sum or all these things. I don't want this. Creative. Okay. And what's the answer? No. You guys are not getting to read the question very well. Create a function. Let me paste it in the chat. So create a function that logs the result of the subtraction of two numbers. Is that function that is logging the result. So what you are doing is that
scroll up a little bit, like to the previous function you've done. Okay. Yes.
So what you are doing is that, just a moment. So what you are doing is that the first thing you are going to do for this exercise is what? Declare a function. This is the first thing you are going to do. So after declaring the function, then you call the function. So you call the function. So that's what you are going to do here. You declare the function and you call it. So it's the function that is logging the result. So I believe that is clear enough. So I'm waiting for just 1 minute, guys, so that we can do it together. I think we have 5 minutes more to round up. Okay, happiness, function minus. All right, awesome. This is great. Happiness is correct. Benedicta, results. What is this, Benedict? This is not correct. The name of your function, you can name it that subtraction, and the function is taking what, two values now. Don't forget, you are calling a function that is taking two. Wait, you are no. This is very wrong.
It worked. It worked for me. It worked. It gave me my output.
Okay, share your screen. Let's see how you do. But it is very wrong. It's a wrong logic. Regardless, it's a very wrong logic. Do you even understand what you wrote? Can you explain what you wrote? What you are only doing is that you are passing one argument. Let me show you guys what she is doing. So what you are doing is that you created a function. What you did is that you created a function result, right? And the function is expecting one argument, right? Which is the subtraction. So, and you are logging so you are logging this just like we were logging our name before, right? So we were logging the name. So you are logging the subtraction. So that was what we were doing. Then what you are doing now is that you are now calling the function result. So what are you passing? You are passing one variable. You are already calculating it here. I don't want this. Use arguments to do your own. So this was what Benedicta is doing. This is what Benedicta is doing. But I don't want this. This is good also, but I don't want this. Pass arguments to it, please. So Rex, Ugu, subtraction, console.log. Okay, yeah. Rex, you correct. Who is this? You are wrong, Ododo, Pascal. You're wrong. Please be careful and follow the right approach. You're wrong. And understand what you are doing, please. Rex again. Okay. Michael, you're correct. Yeah. Good news. You are correct. Okay, that is all. Okay, let's do this together, guys. So first thing is what? We declare a function. Let's give it like a name minus. So this function is taking two arguments or two inputs. So the first one is, let's say, num1 and num2. So now what are we doing? So let's say let result equal to
It's
what?
showing an error because of it's supposed to be comma.
Oh, okay, yeah, thank you for that. So the result is what? Num1 minus num2. Then this function is still the one logging. So let's log the result. So then we call our function. by saying minus, let's say 5 minus 2. So this is it. So I believe you guys already understood the logic of function now. So this is it. So 5 minus 2 gives us 3. So are we clear onto this class? So I believe we're all on the same page. So loops, functions. I'm sure it was very interesting, right? So until I'll get you guys an exercise. So just try it. You know, you need to like work on yourself. The more you practice, the more you get better with programming. So the more you practice, the more you get
Excuse me,
better.
sir.
So okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, who is that? Go on.
Mr. Rex. Yeah,
Okay, Rex.
there's another way that they used to call a function, that they used to declare a function. The one of you write equals to then greater than. Could you talk about it?
Okay, anonymous function. Okay, yeah, you're correct, but this is like a standard function. Like that's like an advanced version, just like the person that asked for each loop. But for anonymous function, right, as he has draws back on that. So anonymous function, you can declare it. It's not like you are, okay, this is it. The best explanation for that is like you are assigning a function to a variable in the sense that, let's say we say constant variable minus, we now say variable minus equals to what? This is how we declare anonymous function. So we do this, and this. So this is anonymous function for minus. So we are assigning this function, you know, this is function scope, right? This is function scope. We are assigning it to variable minus. So that's the reason why we call it anonymous function. So it can still not take arguments. So let's say num1 and num2. So what are we doing? Let result equals to num1 minus num2. Then we log the result. So this, then how do we call it? We call it the same way. So we say minus, we call the function, or let's give it a different name. Let's say subtract. So let's say subtract. So we are calling the subtract now. So what are we passing to it? Subtract 10 and 5. So now let's log this value. So we are subtracting 10 and 5. We are subtracting 5 from 10. So now let's run it. So you can see. So they are still performing the same thing. So this is more like, but I'm very sure as you advance in your career as a programmer, you use this more. You use this
Sorry.
more in with React and the likes. Yeah.
Okay. What if the 5 comes before the 10? Will it still come out as that?
You get an arithmetic error, but yeah, I think you should. You should get minus. Yeah, I think JS give minus. You should get minus. Yeah, you should get minus. So mostly in there are some programming languages that are they are type safety. So when you are dealing with language like Rust, so when you perform this kind of operation, you get an error. But this one, JavaScript, is working for you, performs all these things for you. It checks and gives overflow values. So this will work. Yeah, you can perform anything with this. So are we clear on this? So we can say we have two types of declaring a function. So thank you for that, Rex. So you can declare it like this, and you can declare it in a standard way, just like we did, like this. So I believe that's clear. You can declare it like this, or you declare it like this. So as you advance more in your career, you'll be using this more. Sincerely, you use this more. This one is more like it has this aesthetic look when you see this thing. This one have this aesthetic look compared to this, right? Will anybody agree with me on that? Does this aesthetic look or more elegant than this? So yeah. So we are clear on that. So we've come to the end of today's class. So thank you so much, guys, for your attention and for your cooperation. Thank you so much.
Sorry, Santa, please, I have a question before we leave.
All right, what's the question?
This constant that Rex, this example now that he gave that you